Hey guys, this is Bailey,
I'm Timothy.
and welcome to the What Sleep Podcast, where we talk about all the things that keep us up at night.
A lot of fucked up stuff.
Lots of fucked up stuff.
Cue intro music.
What are we talking about today?
So, I have a bit of a doozy for you today.
Cool.
I don't know if you've ever heard of someone named Belle Gunness.
Guinness?
Guinness, not
No.
like the beer.
Oh. Nope. I've heard
Yeah.
of Guinness.
Anyways, she's known as Lady Bluebeard, the mistress of Murder Farm.
Hell yeah.
A lot of fucked up shit in her life. But hey, she knew what she wanted and she was about getting it, so I guess anyways we'll get into this.
More power to her.
Right? Alright. So Belle Sorensen Guinness, born as Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth.
What?
She's Norwegian.
Okay.
So I'm gonna butcher these names a lot. So my bad.
Sorry, we speak English, not Norwegian.
Yeah.
We don't have that whole inflection thing down.
Yeah. I don't know what the O with the slash through it is pronounced as, so
Nope. That's just something I would put into the username if my name was taken.
yeah, my bad. But she was born on November 11th in 1859, so this dates back
Dang.
a good while ago in a place called Selbu, Norway. She was a Norwegian-American serial killer. She was very big woman. She was about 6 feet tall
I was gonna ask tall or large.
and weighed 200 pounds.
That's a pretty even distribution, I think.
Yeah, she was very physically strong.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so
very
like a
physically
buff
strong.
lady.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In her early years, well, the thing about her early years is that a lot of the origins are up to some debate because a lot of people, it dates that far back. It's kind of hard to
Her
find
origins,
a lot of
like
records.
where she's from, or
Yeah, like she moved to America.
Oh,
and whatnot,
gotcha,
Because she was
okay.
originally from, Norway.
gotcha. Oh, so that's why she changed her name.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I was like, why is she now Miss Guinness?
Yeah, we'll get
So-
to that.
Okay. Okay.
Most of the biographers state that she was born on November 11th, 1859, near the Lake of Selbu in Norway, and her real name was Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth. She was the youngest of 8 children, so there's a lot of
That's
kids.
how they did it back in the day.
Yeah, she lived on a
I
very
feel like that's
small
not
farm.
a lot actually for back in the day, because most had like 14 kids. Or something like that.
Something like that. There was an Irish TV documentary that I saw by a person by the name of Anne Barrett Vetsby. She tells a comment that I found in many different sources, but I can't find an exact verification of it.
Mm-hmm.
Story from her early life. It essentially says that in 1877, Guinness attended a country dance while she was pregnant,
Okay.
and with which she was actually attacked by a man who
Okay.
kicked her in the abdomen, causing her to miscarry her child.
Rude.
Just a little bit.
This was in Norway, right?
This was in Norway, yes.
Okay.
The man who kicked her came from a very rich family in the area, so he wasn't even prosecuted, or police didn't even really involve themselves in it.
Of course. He's a man. She's a woman.
Right.
She
So-
deserved it, probably.
And according to people who knew her, her personality changed drastically after this event.
That's fair.
Obviously.
She miscarried a baby after getting assaulted
Right.
in a bar by a dude kicking her in the
Just casually.
like. That's
It's
fair.
like, I'm gonna kick this woman in the stomach.
I
who
don't
was
blame her.
pregnant. Yeah. The weird thing is, though, is that the man who attacked her died shortly afterwards.
Oh,
It was
spicy.
ruled that his cause of death was actually stomach cancer. Kind of ironic
so
there.
she's a witch.
Maybe. Possibly with how she got away with this. But having grown up in poverty, because she came from a very poor part of town, she took service the next year on a very large, wealthy farm and served there for about 3 years in order to come over to America.
Okay.
Following the example of her sister, Nellie Larson, who actually immigrated to America earlier, Belle moved to the United States in 1881, and that's where she kind of got a more American-style name.
Gotcha.
When she first moved to America, she took up the job of servant. So she was just kind of, just around houses and things like that.
Doing what you know,
you know? About 3 years later, she met a man by the name of Mads Anton Sorensen in Chicago, Illinois, where 2 years later, they opened a candy store.
Oh,
right?
It's so wholesome.
However, the business was not successful.
Oh.
Within a year, the shop mysteriously burned down. For those listening, I did air quotes. They collected the insurance, which...
Oh, okay. It was like, how do you mean mysteriously?
They collected the insurance, which then they bought another home with. Some researchers say that Sorensen produced no offspring, and then other investigators report that the couple had 4 children.
That's kind of a jump.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Based off many of the other sources, I'm saying that she had 4 children.
Okay.
I found the names Caroline, Axel, Myrtle, and Lucy.
Axel.
Yeah.
What a metal name.
However, Caroline and Axel died in infancy, allegedly to acute colitis. The thing with that is the symptoms of acute colitis are also symptoms of many forms of poisoning. Both Caroline's and Axel's lives were reportedly insured, and the insurance company paid out.
Gotcha.
You starting to notice a trend here?
Yeah, little trend here. Lots of fraud, murder.
So I also found an old New York Times article back in May 7th of 1908, stating that 2 children belonging to Gunness and her husband, Mads Sorensen, were buried in a plot in Forest Home Cemetery. And then on June 13th, 1900, Gunness and her family were counted on the United States Census in Chicago. So the only thing with this, the census recorded her as the mother of 4 children, of whom only 2 were living, which was Myrtle and Lucy. And then there was also an adopted 10-year-old girl, identified possibly as Morgan Couch, but apparently later known as Jenny Olson, that were counted in the household.
Okay. So where did she come from?
They just fostered a child, I guess.
Just found a kid?
I guess.
Okay. You live with us now. I wouldn't want that. I guess, she probably didn't know. Anyway.
She probably wanted to collect that sweet, sweet insurance money.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorensen died on July 30th, 1900, reportedly the only day on which his 2 life insurance policies on him overlapped.
Oh, no. I would be gone that day.
One was expiring and one was beginning.
I'm going on vacation today. I won't be here until midnight.
Yeah, so oddly enough, the first doctor to see him thought he was suffering from strychnine poisoning. However, the Sorensens' family doctor had been treating him for an enlarged heart. He concluded that death had been caused by heart failure. An autopsy was considered unnecessary because the death was not thought suspicious.
I see.
Gunness
he was cremated, wasn't he? Sorry, continue.
I didn't find anything about that, actually.
Okay.
But Gunness told the doctor that she had given her late husband medicinal powders to help him feel better because he came home with a headache.
So sweet.
He happened to die a day later.
She's so caring.
I know, right? What a sweet wife.
Not suspicious.
And of course, she applied for the insurance money the day after her husband's funeral.
Girl, you gotta wait a little bit. Like, if you're gonna try to be a master serial killer, you gotta be a little bit smarter about this stuff.
Well, you'll see how much she gets away with. It's pretty crazy.
Oh. Wait, so what are we up to now? So it was the guy who kicked her in the stomach, her 2 children, and her husband.
So far.
All right, so we got 4 victims so far.
But the thing with the children is it's not known that she killed them. So technically her first victim is her husband.
2, possibly 4. Anyway, nothing's confirmed.
Possibly 4, at least 1 so far.
Allegedly.
Sorensen's relatives claim that Gunness had poisoned her husband to collect on the insurance. Surviving records suggest that an inquest was ordered, It is unclear, however, whether that investigation actually occurred or Sorensen's body was ever exhumed to check for arsenic, as his relatives demand.
I would have demanded a little bit harder.
Well,
if you're suspected.
Now here's the kicker. The insurance companies awarded her $8,500, which in today's money is about $230,000.
Damn. For his death?
For his death.
Damn.
Because both insurances happened to overlap on that one
That's
day.
still not worth it. Like, it's a lot of money, and I will never, ever see that amount of money, but, like...
Hey, she knew what she wanted.
That's...
She took that money and actually bought a farm on the outskirts of LaPorte, Indiana. So, curious enough as...
Oh, shit. That scared me. I didn't mean to do that.
Oddly enough, it's funny how the day that the relatives start getting suspicious of her actions, she like, I'm a dip.
Yeah.
Right?
So she's kind of smart in some aspects.
In
but
some
others,
aspects, but dumb in a lot of others.
She's got some bad timing and good timing, I guess.
Yeah. In 1901, Gunness purchased a house on McClung Road. It has been said that both the boat and carriage houses burned to the ground.
Of course.
Shortly after she acquired the property.
Gee, you know.
And guess what? She collected the insurance money.
Of course, you know, it was just an accident.
Just an accident. Just
coincidentally, it's happened 3 times thus far, but you know.
Yeah, 3 times, just casually.
It's fine.
So as she started to move from Chicago to LaPorte, she became reacquainted with a recent widower named Peter Gunness.
Mr. Gunness.
Mr. Gunness, who happened to also be Norwegian born.
Oh.
They were married in LaPorte on April 1st, 1902. So literally a year after moving, she got remarried.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, just 1 week after the ceremony, Peter's infant daughter died of unknown causes while alone in the house with Belle.
Man.
So far,
Dude.
3 kids.
How old was she? Was a week old? Wait, how old was she? No, this was a week later. Sorry.
It was a week later. It was an
okay.
infant daughter. I couldn't find how old she was, but it is an infant daughter, so I assume very young.
Either way, that's so sad.
Yeah. In December 1902, Peter himself died due to a tragic accident.
When did they get married?
1902. Like literally like 8 months after they got married, he died of a tragic accident. According to Belle, he was reaching for his slippers next to the kitchen stove, but he was scalded with hot oil.
Oh, okay.
She later declared that, in fact, part of a sausage grinding machine fell from a high shelf, causing a fatal head injury.
First of all, how did the pot of oil get to the point where it was pouring on his head?
Right.
Secondly, why did all of a sudden the shelf did it just come loose and
it just fell off? According to her, it just fell off and hit him right on the head.
She's surrounded by a lot of unfortunate accidents.
Yeah, accidents.
It seems.
A year later, Peter's brother actually took Peter's older daughter, Swanhilda, to Wisconsin. She's the only child to have survived with Belle.
Like from now and forward?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
The only child to have ever survived.
I'm really glad that he took her.
Right? Just happened.
Yeah.
Just like,
We're leaving. I mean, you imagine like your husband dies, you would think that you would be given custody of his child because you guys are married. You know?
And it was back in that time, so she was gonna get the kids regardless.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. But here's another kicker. Her husband's death actually netted her another $3,000. I did see some sources say $4,000. But so that's up for debate.
So that's what, like 100-something thousand in today's money? How much was that?
Well, the $4,000 would be about $100,000.
Yeah, 100-something.
So it's a lot of
that's
money.
That's great.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, 8 months. You're already at 6 figures for the year.
Oh yeah. Well, and don't forget she already had
the
6 figures from the last one.
Right.
And then also the children and
the boathouse.
The house and all that good stuff. So she's packing. local people refused to believe that her husband could be so clumsy. I mean, he ran a hog farm on the property and was known to be a very experienced butcher. So he's not exactly a clumsy dude.
Right.
Especially in the kitchen.
And it's just such a weird accident to have happened to somebody. Like,
right.
Yeah, he
just got oil all over him,
dropped
fell,
his slippers,
and
then died.
And then a meat grinder fell on his head.
That's fine.
Right?
I thought you were going to say that he, like, fell into a meat grinder. I was like, okay, that's...
This isn't Tucker and Dale versus Evil, right?
That was such a good movie.
These kids just came out of nowhere and dove head first into a wood chipper.
They just started killing themselves. Guys, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, I believe is what it's called, is an amazing horror movie, and you should all watch it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even really consider it a horror movie.
No,
it's making fun of horror movies.
No, it is a horror movie. And you're going to love it.
For the kids, probably.
And you're going to love it.
I mean, I did. I never saw it until about a month ago.
It's amazing.
So, I really enjoyed it. Now, here's another thing. The district coroner reviewed the case and unequivocally announced that he had been murdered.
Good.
He convened a coroner's jury to look into the matter. Meanwhile, Jenny Olsen, then 14, was overheard confessing to a classmate, "My mama killed my papa. She hit him with a meat cleaver and he died. Don't tell a soul." End quote.
That's her first...
That's
one of her
daughter.
First... Oh, that's the adopted one.
The foster child.
Okay. So right now she's got her 2 biological children that survived.
Right now there's the 2 biological children and then the foster.
And then the foster.
And then the oldest daughter of Peter who went
left.
to Wisconsin.
Who left.
Yeah.
Good on her. So there's... Okay, so where are the other kids in this house when all this is happening?
I couldn't find anything really saying what was going on. Like, I don't know if they just...
Hey guys, go out to play.
Hey,
right. Okay.
Jenny was brought before the coroner's jury, but she denied having said that.
Right.
Of course, being 14, then all of a sudden having to essentially oust your mother,
I mean, kids say wild things all the time, especially as an edgy 14-year-old, but I don't think you ever accuse your mom of killing your father who actually died.
Let alone with a meat cleaver.
Right.
Which she was actually known to use in later cases.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Gunness, meanwhile, convinced the coroner that she was innocent of any wrongdoing. She somehow managed to convince this guy who said unequivocally that it was a murder. That, I didn't do it.
So she was really charming.
Apparently. She also didn't mention that she was pregnant, and in May of 1903, she gave birth to a baby boy, which she named Philip Gunness.
After the husband that just died?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
After the husband died.
Okay.
In late 1906, Belle told neighbors that her foster child, Denny Olsen, had gone away to a Lutheran college in Los Angeles. Apparently, at some point, some neighbors were informed that it was a school for young ladies. But in fact, Jenny's body would later be found buried on her adoptive mother's property.
I'm shocked.
Right? And in the years 1903 to 1906, Belle continued to run the farm. And actually in 1907, she employed a single farmhand named Ray Lampier to help with the chores. Because she couldn't keep up. Lampier.
How is it spelled?
Lamp here.
Oh, like lamp here?
I got a lamp here.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Not French. Got it.
Also around the time when she got the farmhand, she actually put out an advertisement in a Norwegian newspaper and in Chicago. And I actually found exactly what it said.
Okay.
It says, a comely widow who owns a large farm in one of the finest districts in LaPorte County, Indiana, desires to make the acquaintance of a gentleman equally well provided with view of joining fortunes. No replies by letter considered unless sender is willing to follow answer with personal visit. Triflers need not reply.
Triflers need not reply.
I also found...
I don't think I've ever heard that used in a sentence.
Right? I've also seen it said that in some of the advertisements, she also says, when you come, don't tell anybody you're coming here. So...
Sure. Come to my house.
Not very subtle with it.
No.
But
No.
apparently, several middle-aged men of means responded to her ads. One of which was John Moe, who arrived from Elbow Lake, Minnesota. He had brought more than $1,000 with him to pay off her mortgage.
Oh, she didn't ask for money, did she? She just said that...
No, she told him to bring money so they could combine fortune.
So I thought that was like a contingency to if we get married, join fortunes.
Yeah, but she's also kind of sharing stock in her farm.
Okay.
So he told the neighbors that, he was bringing the $1,000 to pay off her mortgage. Gunness actually introduced him as her cousin, oddly enough. He actually disappeared from her farm within a week of his arrival. So literally there for a week to pay off the mortgage and whatever, and then suddenly was just gone.
I don't mean to laugh because he died, just that it's so ridiculous.
Just a little bit.
That all this is happening.
Just wait, it gets better. Next came a man by the name of George Anderson from Tarkio, Missouri, who, like Peter, was an immigrant from Norway. So a lot of Norwegian people just happened to...
I mean, at the time,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was like from all over the world, so
Yeah.
the odds of finding somebody from Norway is probably pretty good.
So Belle actually sat Anderson down during dinner
Mhm.
and raised the issue of her mortgage.
Belle did.
Belle did.
Okay.
Anderson agreed that he would pay this off if they decided to wed.
Aw, okay.
Late that night, Anderson awoke to see her standing over him, holding a guttering candle in her hand with a strange, sinister expression on her face. Without uttering a word, she walked out of the room. Anderson fled from the house, soon taking a train to Missouri.
Good. She just stood there with a candle, like, up to her face?
A guttering candle.
I don't know what that is.
It's like...
Guttering
So yeah, it was just
candle.
like a low candle. So he was also one of only a handful of people that actually survived
Okay.
meeting Belle, essentially.
Him and the girl.
The thing is suitors kept coming. They just kept like, hey, I'm gonna keep answering this ad.
I'm sure they probably didn't know either that dudes were just disappearing left and right.
Yeah. And just to show how strong she was, like physically strong.
I forgot she was buff.
Yeah. She actually begun ordering huge trunks to be delivered to her home. A driver by the name of Clyde Sturgis delivered many of these trunks to her, and later remarked how the heavy-set woman would lift these enormous trunks, quote, like boxes of marshmallows.
Oh.
Yeah. Later saying she would toss them onto her wide shoulders and carry them into the house.
You go. Like
she could clearly handle herself.
She's ripped.
Yeah.
She's doing her own thing.
Lots of murdered will do that. It was also said that she kept the shutters of her house closed day and night, and farmers traveling past at night just happened to see her digging in the hog pen.
Oh. I mean, she's on a farm working,
Yeah, well, we'll see why.
Okay.
A person by the name of
Silence your phone.
It was my Mac. I'm sorry. I just got a text from DoorDash being like, your order was dropped off. Here's a picture.
Dude, I've been getting that too. I'll get my food in like an hour later. It's like,
yeah,
hey, your food's
literally
here.
an hour later.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
They're doing their best.
Anyways.
Thanks, DoorDash. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. Give us money. So a woman by the name of Ol B. Budsberg, who was an elderly widower.
Ol B. Like Olby or
Ol B.
I love that.
Budsberg.
That's gonna be me when I'm old.
That's such a mouthful.
Ol B.
Budsberg.
Good.
Too many B's.
I'm changing.
I don't care for alliteration.
Bugsberg. Anyway.
Bailey B. Budsberg. Bailey B. Budsberg.
Old Bailey B. Bugsberg. I can say it.
I fucks with it. You can say that. Okay.
Shut up.
All right. Old B. Budsberg was an elderly woman from Iola, Wisconsin. She appeared next.
Wait, why did she show up? To join fortunes?
Oh, sorry. That's completely wrong. It's not a she. I just read widower and woman. He was last seen alive at the LaPorte Savings Bank on April 6, 1907, when he mortgaged his Wisconsin land there, signing over a deed and obtaining several $1,000s in cash.
how does any person convince somebody else to essentially give them their life savings?
I don't know. Apparently, she was super charming.
Super charming. Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack and say she was probably not super charming and probably just ripped and looked like she could probably beat you up and threatened.
But don't remember now. This was ads in different states and completely different countries, so they wouldn't know what she looked like.
That's fair. She was just a woman.
Just a woman who apparently had money and was willing to combine that. And I guess back in that time, wealthy people married wealthy people. I guess.
Right. They still do that.
Yeah, they still do that. Old B. Buttsberg's sons, Oscar and Matthew, had no idea that their father had gone off to visit Gunness. When they finally got there, they wrote to her. She promptly responded saying she had never seen their father. Several other middle-aged men appeared and disappeared in brief visits to the Gunness farm throughout 1907.
Do they have a number with that, or is it just tons of dudes?
It's just estimated, because like I said, the official body count was about 14, but it's estimated to be up in the 40s.
Yeah.
So in December 1907, Andrew, the son of Budsberg. In December 1907, Andrew Hengelian, a bachelor farmer from Aberdeen, South Dakota, wrote to her and was warmly received. Of course, money.
Of course.
The pair apparently exchanged many letters until a letter that overwhelmed Hengelian, written in Gunness's own careful handwriting and dated January 13th, 1908. This letter was later found at the Hengelian farm. It read, you got the letter, to the dearest friend in the world.
Aww.
So heartwarming. No woman in the world is happier than I am. I know that you are now to come to me and be my own. I can tell from your letters that you are the man I want.
Aww.
It does not take one long to tell when to like a person, and you I like better than anyone in the world, I know. Think how we will enjoy each other's company. You, the sweetest man in the whole world. We will be all alone with each other. Can you conceive of anything nicer? I think of you constantly. When I hear your name mentioned, and this is when one of the dear children speaks of you, or I hear myself humming it with the words of an old love song. It is beautifully music to my ears. My heart beats in wild rapture for you. My Andrew, I love you. Come prepared to stay forever.
I'm never going to get a letter like that, and I don't know if I want to.
Well, see, it sounded like all cutesy.
But my God.
It sounds all cutesy. And then
it took a fucking turn.
Come prepared to stay forever.
Yeah. That took a fucking turn.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in the moment he was like, oh, that's so cute. And then
Little
they found his body.
You'll be sleeping with the pigs.
In response to her letter, Hengelian flew to her side in January of 1908. He had with him a check for $2,900, his entire savings, which he had actually drawn from his local bank.
Right.
A few days later, after he arrived, he and Gunness appeared at the savings bank in LaPorte and deposited the check into her account.
So he straight up
just withdrew all the money he had from his account and put it into her bank.
So it's not combining.
Essentially putting it all into her account.
You're just giving it to her.
A few days later,
guys are really stupid back in 1908. 1908.
Like early 1900s.
I forgot she works quick.
Oh yeah, she's very quick. Yeah, he actually vanished a few days later. But Gunness appeared at the savings bank to make a $500 deposit and another deposit of $700 in the state bank. At this time is when she started to have problems with her farmhand, Ray Lamphere.
He's breaking you logs. Leave him alone.
In March of 1908, Gunness sent several letters to a farmer and horse dealer in Topeka, Kansas, named Lon Townsend, inviting him to visit her.
Okay.
He decided to put off the visit until spring and thus did not see her before a fire at her farm mysteriously broke out. Gunness was also in correspondence with the man from Arkansas and sent him a letter dated May 4th, 1908. He would have visited her, but did not because of the fire at her farm. Gunness allegedly promised marriage to his suitor, Bert Albert, which did not go through because of his lack of wealth.
Okay. Also, his name was Bert Albert.
Yeah, Bert Albert.
Well,
Little redundant.
I normally am not happy for people that they don't have as much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it kind of saved his life.
It saved his life, though, so I'm kind of glad he wasn't as rich.
So here's where things start to get a little wishy-washy, I'll say. The hired hand, Ray Lampier, was deeply in love with Gunness. He performed any chore for her, no matter how gruesome. He became jealous of the many men who arrived to court his employer and began making scenes. She actually fired him on February 3rd, 1908. Shortly after firing Lampier, she presented herself at the LaPorte courthouse. She declared that her former employee was not in his right mind and was a menace to the public.
Oh, okay. Covering her tracks in case he gets angry.
She somehow convinced local authorities to hold a sanity hearing.
Okay.
Lampier was pronounced sane and released.
Okay.
And Gunness was back a few days later to complain to the sheriff that Lampier had visited her farm and argued with her. She contended that he posed a threat to her family and had Lampier arrested for trespassing.
Yeah.
Lampier returned again and again to see her.
Dude, let it go.
Right.
You know what she's doing.
She there's no way he drove him away.
Yeah.
Right.
She's out here murdering dudes, murdering those children before. You probably definitely know this is all happening.
Oh, yeah.
She's fired you. She's literally got you arrested. She made you go to twice. She had a sanity hearing commenced on you. Like, let it go.
Apparently not. Lampier made thinly disguised threats. On one occasion, he confided to farmer William Slater, and I quote, "Helgelian won't bother me no more. We fixed him for keeps."
Okay.
Helgelian had long since disappeared from the precincts of LaPorte, or so it was believed.
AKA murdered.
However, his brother was disturbed when Andrew failed to return home, and he wrote to Belle in Indiana, asking her about his siblings' whereabouts. Gunness wrote back telling his brother that he was not at her farm and probably went to Norway to visit relatives.
Sure. Was he? Wait. Oh, yeah. He was from Norway. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, was he even from Norway?
The brother wrote back saying that he did not believe his brother would do that. Moreover, he believed that his brother was still in the LaPorte area, the last place he was seen or heard from. Gunness brazened it out. She told him that if he wanted to come and look for his brother, she would help conduct a search. But she cautioned him that searching for missing persons was an expensive proposition.
Oh, why?
So he wouldn't come do it.
Right, but...
if she were to be involved in such a manhunt, she stated, he would not be prepared to pay her for her efforts.
Oh.
But the brother did come to LaPorte, but not until May.
Right. This was February. No, that's when she fired him.
Yeah. We're talking about the brother of one of the people who came to visit.
Yeah.
Lampier represented an unresolved danger to her. Now, Hengelian's brother was making inquiries that could very well send her to the gallows. She told a lawyer in LaPorte that she feared for her life and that of her children. Ray Lampier, she said, had threatened to kill her and burn her house down.
Oh, so we're setting it up now.
Yep.
Okay.
She wanted to make out a will in case Lampier went through with his threats.
Okay.
The lawyer complied and drew up her will. She left her entire estate to her children, then departed the lawyer's office. She went to one of LaPorte's banks holding the mortgage for her property and immediately paid off the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
She did not go to the police to tell them about Lampier's allegedly life-threatening conduct. The reason for this, most later concluded, was that there had been no threat. She was merely setting the stage for her own arson.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So, clearly, she knows shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
She's trying to cover her tracks.
She's so methodical.
I just really want to know how she managed to convince all of these dudes.
Yeah. Well, she was a woman who was single and had a lot was money.
Yeah.
Looking for dudes to come and talk to her, you know? I mean.
So Joe Maxon, who was actually hired to replace Lampier in February of 1908, awoke in the early hours of about April 28th in 1908, smelling smoke in his room, which was on the second floor of the Gunness house.
Mm-hmm.
He opened the hall door to a sheet of flames. He screamed Gunness's name and those of her children, but got no response.
Oh.
He slammed the door and then, in his underwear, leapt from the second-story window of his room, barely surviving the fire that was closing in about him. He raced to town to get help, but by the time the old-fashioned firefighters arrived at the farm, Farmhouse was a complete ruin of just smoke.
I can imagine. It's probably all wooden and, things that would easily catch fire.
Which I do have pictures of the farm after it burned down.
Okay.
As well as pictures of Belle, her entire family, and things like that.
All the victims that
most victims.
Sorry, the unfortunate souls that happened to die around her.
When the firefighters started rummaging through the debris, 4 bodies were found inside the house. One of the bodies was that of a woman who could not be immediately identified because she was decapitated. The head was never found.
So what'd she do with the head?
The bodies of her children were found still in their beds.
Oh no, she didn't even get the kids out? Okay, continue. Sorry.
County Sheriff Smutzer has somehow...
Oh, I see. Continue.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there. County Sheriff Smutzer had somehow heard about Lampier's alleged threats. He took one look at the carnage and quickly sought out the old farmhand. Lil Leader came forward, who was the lawyer who drew up her will, came forward to recount his tale about Guinness's will and how she feared Lampier would kill her and her family and burn her house down. Lampier did not help his cause much.
Okay.
At the moment, Sheriff Smutzer confronted him, and before a word was uttered by the sheriff, Lampier exclaimed, "Did Widow Gunness and the kids get out all right?"
Yeah.
He was then told about the fire, but he denied having anything to do with it, claiming that he was not near the farm when the blaze occurred. A youth by the name of John Solem was brought forward. He said that he had been watching the Gunness place and that he saw Lampier running down the road from the Gunness house just before the structure erupted in flames. Lampier snorted to the boy, "You wouldn't look me in the eye and say that."
Okay.
The boy replied, "Yes, I will." He said, "You found me hiding behind the bushes and you told me you'd kill me if I didn't get out of here." Lampier was arrested and charged with murder and arson.
Man, you go, kid.
Then scores of investigators, sheriff's deputies, coroners, and many volunteers began to search the ruins for evidence.
Right.
The body of the headless woman was of deep concern to the port residents, and a neighboring farmer took one look at the charred remains of this body and said that it was not the remains of Belle Gunness.
What?
So did another farmer by the name of Nicholson, and so did Miss Austin Cutler, an old friend of Gunness. And many other friends who arrived from Chicago said that it was not her remains.
It's almost like you don't exactly need a head to identify that somebody's not...
Especially, let alone a 6-foot-tall, 200-pound woman, right?
Ripped woman.
Doctors then measured the remains and making allowances for the missing neck and weighed no more than 150 pounds.
Okay.
Friends and neighbors, as well as the Laporte clothiers who made her dresses and other garments, swore that Gunness was taller than 5'8".
Yeah.
And weighed between 180 and 200 pounds. Detailed measurements of the body were compared with those on file with several Laporte stores where she purchased apparel. When the two sets of measurements were compared, the authorities concluded that the headless woman could not possibly have been Belle Gunness, even when the ravages of the fire on the body were taken into account.
Right. It just doesn't shrink.
Right.
That just doesn't happen.
A doctor by the name of Myers examined the internal organs of the dead woman. He sent stomach contents of the victims to a pathologist in Chicago who reported months later that the organs contained lethal doses. But here's where it gets a little weird.
Okay.
Gunness's dentist, Dr. Ira P. Norton, said that if the teeth/dental work of the headless corpse had been located, he could definitely ascertain if it was her.
Right.
Thus, a former miner was hired to build and begin sifting through debris as more bodies were unearthed. The sluice was used to isolate human remains on a larger scale. On May 19th, 1908, a piece of bridgework was found consisting of 2 human canine teeth, their roots still attached, porcelain teeth, and a gold crown work in between. Norton identified them as work done for Gunness.
For Philip? Wait, who?
Gunness. The
woman?
The woman, Belle.
Oh.
So the headless woman.
Okay.
They found teeth.
Just the teeth.
Just the teeth.
Okay. I thought I missed where you said they found the head. I was like, wait.
No, they didn't find the head. They just found teeth.
I was like, wait. Okay. Did she rip teeth out of her head? Okay. I'm going to let you continue.
That's the weird part because the body didn't describe it. There was poison inside the body.
Right. Obviously, yeah.
The head was missing, but they found teeth.
Just teeth.
And the dentist said it was work that Belle had gotten.
Right. Okay.
As a result, the coroner officially concluded that the adult female body discovered in the ruins was in fact Belle Gunness. Even though
he found it was?
He found that it was based on the teeth that they found.
That's what she wants you to think, coroner.
Exactly. Astley Helgelian arrived in LaPorte and told Sheriff Smutzer that he believed his brother had met with foul play at Guinness's hands.
Yeah.
Then Joe Maxon came forward with information that could not be ignored. He told the sheriff that Gunness had ordered him to bring loads of dirt by wheelbarrow to a large area surrounded by a high wire fence where the hogs were fed. Maxon said that there were many deep depressions in the ground that had been covered by dirt.
Right.
These filled in holes Gunness had told Maxon contained rubbish. She wanted the ground made level, so he filled in the depressions.
Right. Because there's be body down these.
Oh, we'll get something. Smutzer took a dozen men back to the farm and began to dig. On May 3rd, 1908, the diggers unearthed the body of Jenny Olson, who vanished December 1906.
Yeah.
And they found the small bodies of 2 unidentified children. Subsequently, the body of Andrew Hengelian was unearthed. His overcoat was actually found to be worn by Lampier.
Okay.
As days progressed and the gruesome work continued, one body after another was discovered in Guinness's hog pen. And I do have names of possible victims because a lot of them could not be identified.
Right. Well, definitely. And so, what happened to her children? Did they weren't home that night?
They were inside.
They were in the fire?
Yeah.
Okay, so
they were found in their beds.
Why did she leave the money to them then? Or like her estate and everything.
If the children died, who do you think gets to keep it?
Well, if she also framed her own
track.
Well, she also framed her own death.
Yeah.
She didn't just find a dude to marry and be like, "Hey, I'm going to put you in my will," and then come back and try to murder him as somebody else and take the money.
I don't know, man. She works in mysterious ways.
She works in mysterious ways.
So some of the bodies were Ole B. Budsberg of Iowa, Wisconsin, who vanished in May of 1907. A man by the name of Thomas Lindbow, who had left Chicago and had gone to work as a hired man for Guinness 3 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Gerholt of Scandinavia, Wisconsin, who had gone to wed her a year earlier, taking $1,500 to her, and a watch corresponding to one belonging to Gerholt was found with the body.
Right.
That's how they figured that was him.
Identified him, yeah.
A man by the name of Olaf Svenherud from Chicago. No other information I could find on him. John Moe of Elbow Lake, Minnesota. His watch was found in Lampier's possession.
Oh, really?
Olaf Lindblom, age 35 from Wisconsin. Those were the identified bodies. And the reports of other possible victims began to come in.
Oh, no.
Now, here's where the list gets real long.
Yeah.
First one is William Mingay, a coachman of New York City who had left that city on April 1st, 1904.
Okay.
To go to the same area.
Okay.
Herman Conitzer of Chicago, who disappeared in January of 1906. Charles Edmond of New Carlisle, Indiana. George Berry of Tuscola, Illinois. Christy Hilkven of Dovry, Barron County, Wisconsin, who sold his farm and came to LaPorte in 1906. Caress Nyberg, a 28-year-old Scandinavian immigrant who lived in Philadelphia, told his friends that he was going to visit Guinness in June 1906 and never came back. He had been working for a saloon keeper and took $500 with him.
Man, these people really are just sitting here uprooting their lives for a lady across the country.
So. Just casually. I'm just going to leave everything behind for this woman. A man by the name of John H. McJunkin in a city, Coropolis, near Pittsburgh, left his wife in December of 1906 after corresponding with a LaPorte woman.
A rich woman.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Olaf Jensen, a Norwegian immigrant of Carroll, Indiana. She apparently really likes Olaf as a name.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend.
Wrote his relatives in 1906. He was going to marry a wealthy widow at LaPorte.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard from him again.
Of course.
Henry Bisgee of LaPorte, who disappeared in June 1906, and his hired man named Edward Canary of Pink Lake, who also vanished in 1906. Bert Chase of Mishawaka, Indiana, sold his butcher shop and told friends of a wealthy widow that he was going to look her up. His brother received a telegram supposedly from Aberdeen, South Dakota, claiming Bert had been killed in a train wreck. His brother investigated and found the telegram was fictitious.
Oh, I bet. A train wreck is not a small thing.
Right.
You couldn't have said he was, I don't know,
Like,
actually, I don't know.
Like, hey, did your
eaten by a wolf?
Did your dude come over? Did he?
Right.
Has he talked to you?
Eaten by a wolf, or
Oh, he never
got
came here.
lost.
I don't know what happened.
Made a life in Alaska. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anything other than a train exploded with him on
it. Right. Another person, Tons Peterson of Rushford, Minnesota, is alleged to have disappeared April 2nd, 1907. There was a gold ring marked SB, May 28, 1907, that was found in the ruins. A hired man named George Bradley of Tuscola, Illinois, is alleged to have gone to LaPorte to meet a widow and 3 children in October 1907. T.J. Tiefland of Minneapolis is alleged to have come to see Gunness in 1907. Frank Riedinger, a farmer of Waukesha, Wisconsin, came to Indiana in 1907 to marry and never returned. You see how the list just keeps going?
Yeah.
Not even halfway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's so many people.
Emil Tell, a Swede from Kansas City, Missouri, is alleged to have gone in 1907 to LaPorte, never came back. Lee Porter of Bartonville, Oklahoma, separated from his wife and told his brother he was going to marry a wealthy widow at LaPorte. Okay. Apparently money just really speaks to these people.
It's astounding. Especially, like, if you have nothing on you. Well, I mean, because there was even people that, like, didn't actually have a lot of money that she rejected.
It was enough for her, though. When you're talking about like $500 back then, that's a good chunk of change.
So what's I guess I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But, I don't understand. John E. Hunter left Pennsylvania on November 25th, 1907, after telling his daughters he was going to marry a wealthy widow in northern Indiana. Mm. 2 other Pennsylvanians, George Williams and Ludwig Stoll, also left their homes to marry in the West, never to be seen or heard from again. Abraham Phillips, a railway man of Burlington, West Virginia, left in the winter of 1907 to go to northern Indiana and marry a rich widow. A railway watch was found in the debris of the house. Mm. Benjamin Carling of Chicago, Illinois, was last seen by his wife in 1907 after telling her that he was going to LaPorte to secure an investment with a rich widow. He had with him $1,000 from an insurance company and borrowed money from several investors as well. In June 1908, his widow was able to identify his remains from LaPorte's Pauper's Cemetery by the contour of his skull and 3 missing teeth.
That's so sad. And that's sad for her too, because it's
you should go like all this way to identify the remains
of your husband who left you for a rich woman.
Yeah.
And okay.
And took a lot of money.
And took all of the money.
All of the money. Augustus Gunderson of Green Lake, Wisconsin. Olison of Battle Creek, Michigan. This is where I kind of stopped finding information on these people.
Yeah.
Lindler Nicholson of Huron, South Dakota. Andrew Anderson of Lawrence, Kansas. Johann Sorensen of St. Joseph, Missouri. And then another possible victim was a man named Hinckley. Mm-hmm. And there are reports of unnamed victims.
Right.
One was a daughter of Miss H. Witzer of Toledo, Ohio, who had attended Indiana University near LaPorte in 1902. An unknown man and woman are alleged to have disappeared in September 1906, the same night Jenny Olson went missing. Mm. Gunness claimed they were a Los Angeles professor and his wife who had taken Jenny to California. A brother of Miss Jenny Graham of Waukesha, Wisconsin, who had left her to marry a rich widow in LaPorte, but vanished.
Right.
A hired man from Ohio, aged 50, name unknown, is alleged to have disappeared, and Gunness became the heir to his horse and buggy. An unnamed man from Montana told people at a resort he was going to sell Gunness his horse and buggy, which were found with several other horses and buggies at the farm. Most of the remains found on the property could not be identified.
Yeah, I bet. There's so many people.
Yeah. Because of the crude recovery methods, the exact number of individuals unearthed on the Gunness farm is unknown, but is believed to be approximately 12. On May 19, 1908, remains of approximately 7 unknown victims were buried in 2 coffins in unmarked graves in the Pauper section of LaPorte's Pine Lake Cemetery. Andrew Hegelian and Jenny Olson are buried in LaPorte's Patton Cemetery near Peter Gunness. Now, bit of a doozy there.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a tiny little bit.
It's a little bit, a lot of names, a lot of dead people.
It's just a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. She got a lot of money.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. Like, she was busy.
Yeah. And it was all within at least a year, at most a year.
It was, I believe she had that farm in 1903. So it was like over the course.
Oh, she had it in 1903?
Yeah, I think it was like 1903 that she got the farm. And
just
so it was like over the course of like 4 years.
Yeah.
She murdered all these people, got them to come out and give her money essentially and other assets.
And nobody caught on, obviously, because I mean, I guess they're all from different places, but like,
yeah, but
that's crazy.
And then like all of a sudden, all these people are
going to LaPorte and then not coming back
after an ad is placed in a newspaper, and they're never heard from again.
It's crazy. You'd think that like the newspaper would notice a trend of like,
you would think, right?
All these people are going to like are missing from LaPorte or have gone to LaPorte and went missing.
Right. You would think.
Maybe we should look into the.
I guess towns really didn't have a good communication system.
I guess
back in the day. So now we're coming back to Ray Lampier, as in some of the names I mentioned.
The crazy guy.
He had some possessions of some of the corpses that were found.
Yeah.
So Ray Lampier was actually arrested on May 22nd, 1908, and was tried for murder and arson. He denied the charges of arson and murder that were filed against him. His defense hinged on the assertion that the body was not Gunness's. Lampier's lawyer developed evidence that contradicted Norton's identification of the teeth and bridge work.
Right.
A local jeweler testified that though the gold and the bridge work had emerged from the fire almost undamaged, the fierce heat of the conflagration had melted the gold plating on several watches and items of gold jewelry.
Yeah.
Local doctors replicated the conditions of the fire by attaching a similar piece of dental bridgework to a human jawbone and placed it in a blacksmith's forge. Mm-hmm. The real teeth crumbled and disintegrated. The porcelain teeth came out pocked and pitted, with the gold parts rather melted. So these teeth were a bit too nice to have been in a fire.
So it sounds like either he or Miss Gunness went back and just threw the teeth on the fire.
Now here's where stuff gets a little crazy.
Okay.
The hired hand
at this point, not
this
before.
Point. Not at this point. This is when like the conspiracy
This is
starts.
the moment.
This is when the conspiracy starts. The hired hand, Joe Maxson, that took the place of Lampier, and another man also testified that they seen the dentist, Klondike Schultz, take the bridgework out of his pocket and plant it just before it was discovered.
Right.
Lampier is found guilty of arson, but acquitted of murder. On November 26, 1908, he was sentenced to 20 years in the state prison.
That's pretty progressive for back then.
Yeah.
A lot of people got away with a lot of like crazy crime.
And about a year or so later, he died of tuberculosis while he was inside prison. Okay. But on January 14th, 1910, a reverend by the name of Shell came forward with a confession that Lampier was said to have made to him while the clergyman was comforting the dying man.
It's private.
In it, Lampier revealed Gunness's crimes and swore that she was still alive. Lampier had stated to the reverend and to a fellow convict shortly before his death that he had not murdered anyone, that he had helped Gunness bury many of her victims.
Yeah.
When a victim arrived, she made him comfortable, charming him and cooking a large meal. She then drugged his coffee, and when the man was in a stupor, she split his head with a meat cleaver.
Damn.
Little crazy.
That's aggressive.
It's just a little bit. Sometimes she would simply wait for the suitor to go to bed and then enter the bedroom by candlelight and chloroform her sleeping victim.
That guy woke up just before.
Just before he was about to get it.
And she just walked away.
She
didn't even try.
Oddly enough, like...
She didn't even try. She's just like, okay.
Oh, well.
That's fair.
This isn't fun anymore. A powerful woman, Gunness, would then carry the body to the basement, place it on a table, and dissect it.
Like a lot. Oh, no. She cleaved him first. Yeah, okay.
She then bundled the remains and buried these in the hog pen in the grounds about the house. Belle had become an expert at dissection.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to instructions she had received from her second husband, the butcher, Peter Gunness.
Okay.
To save time, she sometimes poisoned her victim's coffee with strychnine. She also varied her disposal methods, sometimes dumping the corpse into the hog scalding vat and covering the remains with quicklime. Lampier even stated that if Belle was overly tired after murdering one of her victims, she merely chopped up the remains and in the middle of the night stepped to her hog pen and then just fed the remains to the hogs.
Oh, no. That's so... Leave pigs alone, man.
The handyman also cleared up the mysterious question of the headless female corpse found in the smoking ruins of the Gunness home. Apparently, Gunness had lured this woman from Chicago on the pretense of hiring her as a housekeeper.
Right.
Only days before she decided to make her permanent escape from the port. Gunness, according to Lampier, had drugged the woman, then bashed in her head and decapitated the body. Taking the head, which had weights tied to it, and threw it in a swamp with deep water. Then she chloroformed her children, smothered them to death, and dragged their small bodies along with the headless corpse to the basement.
Man.
She dressed the female corpse in her old clothing and removed her false teeth, placing these beside the headless corpse to assure it being identified as Belle Gunness.
So did she even remove teeth from the... No, she didn't, because there was no head. Never mind. I keep coming back to the head thinking it's still attached because I can't get my mind around she decapitated a woman.
Yeah.
To frame her own death. Continue.
After that, she then torched the house and fled. Lampier had helped her, he admitted, but she had not left by the road where he waited for her after the fire had been set. She had betrayed her one-time partner in crime in the end by cutting across open fields and then disappearing into the woods.
Yeah. What did he expect?
Right? Like, she's clearly in it for herself. She doesn't not care about you.
She's done so much for herself. She fight. Okay.
Yeah. Some accounts suggest that
Lampier...
This guy's an idiot. Yeah. He's just like that in love, where he's just like, I don't care. Some accounts suggest that Lampier admitted that he took her to Stillwell, which is a town about 9 miles away from the port.
Right.
And saw her off on a train to Chicago. Lampier said that Gunness was a rich woman, that she had murdered 42 men by his count, perhaps more, and had taken amounts from them ranging from $1,000 to $32,000.
You know, I'm sure, honestly, I believe his body count too, because I'm sure he kept track of every single guy that was trying to gain her hand. And if he's like a jealous lover, you know, I'm sure he knew exactly all of their names.
I'm sure she helped.
All of their names. Helped, yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And the count, absolutely.
She had allegedly accumulated more than $250,000 through her murder schemes over the years.
What is that in
today's money? It's about $6.5 million.
Damn.
She had a small amount remaining in one of her savings accounts, but local banks later admitted that she had indeed withdrawn most of her funds shortly before the fire. The fact that Gunness withdrew most of her money suggested that she was planning to evade the law.
Yeah.
Now,
please tell me she gets caught.
Gunness was, for several decades, allegedly seen or sighted in cities and towns throughout the United States. Friends, acquaintances, and amateur detectives apparently spotted her on the streets of Chicago, San Francisco, New York, and Los Angeles. As late as 1931, Gunness was reported alive and living in a Mississippi town where she supposedly owned a great deal of property and lived a life. Smutzer, for more than 20 years, received an average of 2 reports a month. She became part of an American criminal folklore known as a female Bluebeard.
A female Bluebeard.
The bodies of Gunness's 3 children were found in the home's wreckage, but the headless adult female corpse found with them was never positively identified.
Yeah.
Gunness's true fate is also unknown. The port residents were divided between believing she was killed by Lampier and that she had faked her own death. In 1931, a woman known as Esther Carlson was arrested in Los Angeles.
Okay.
For poisoning a man by the name of August Lindstrom for money. The exact same poison, the exact MO.
It's her.
Of Belle.
It's her.
2 people who had known Gunness claimed to recognize her from photographs, but identification was never proved. Carlson died while awaiting trial.
I believe that was her. I can't believe she just didn't get caught.
Right?
At all. Like, even at the end.
No. It is believed she has been buried. The body believed to be that of Belle Gunness was buried next to her first husband.
No.
At Forest Home Cemetery in Forest Park, Illinois.
It's so messed up when murderers get buried next to their victims or people who... It's so fucked up.
So, just to show you how badly destroyed this body was of the headless woman, on November 5th, 2007, with permission of descendants of Belle's sister, the headless body was exhumed from Gunness's grave in Forest Home Cemetery by a team of forensic anthropologists and graduate students from the University of Indianapolis in an effort to learn the true identity of the body.
Right.
It was initially hoped that a sealed envelope flap on a letter found at the victim's farm would contain enough DNA to be compared to that of the body. Unfortunately, there was not enough DNA there.
No!
So efforts continue to find a reliable source for comparison purposes.
God damn it.
Including that of living relatives.
I need to know. Well, hold on, but they did the whole Golden State Killer thing. They caught him with, familial DNA.
Yeah, but apparently nothing has been found. And we're talking about someone who's not guaranteed to be Belle Gunness.
Yeah. Okay.
Could just be a random woman who just happened to do the same
I gotta know.
So yeah, that is the story of Belle Gunness, the mistress of Murder Farm.
I'm gonna believe that woman at the end was her. And even if it wasn't, like, she still, like, lived a long life.
Oh yeah. Like, she 100% faked her death, got away.
No, absolutely.
Now, whether or not the older woman in LA was her or not, that can be debated. But I think the fact that it was the same type of poison, the same MO of killing wealthy men for their money.
Probably the same age as her.
It actually would be the same age.
Okay,
and then also the fact that she had pictures
and was recognized
of her and her children who happened to resemble Belle and her original 4 children.
Yeah. Okay. She was caught. Not for everything else.
Well, she wasn't caught necessarily. Right. She died before even the trial.
Right. But point is, she died in prison. Yeah. Not prison, but jail. Yeah. Before conviction. So I'm satisfied with that.
It's still up for debate on whether or not she did die in the fire or she did fake her death and escape. But I guess that's where I'll leave it to interpretation.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think she faked her death and
she 100% moved to
LA and
I don't know about the whole LA thing, or at least Mississippi.
Yeah.
So wherever she was. That's crazy. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
For enlightening me about that.
I told you it was a doozy.
Insane woman.
Lots of bodies, lots of dead children. Lots of dead children.
That's crazy.
And that is Belle Gunness. Please follow us on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Join our Reddit if you would like. Also, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, and leave a review. Let us know how we're doing.
Only if it's nice, please.
Or if it's bad, we'll just laugh at you. But, All right. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.